Number 2, this commentary is pertaining to Brian C. Kohberger. He has been charged with murdering 4 Idaho students. And the state and the defense are battling about what should be allowed at trial. Selfies, Amazon purchases and searches of a knife sheath, knife and sharpener, language used, 911 call, and also text by the roommates, Bethany and Dylan. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $DeGanji129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Welcome to live number 2. Thank you very much. NBC News is the source.
This morning, a new image of Brian Kohberger, allegedly taken just hours after prosecutors say he murdered 4 University of Idaho students back in 2022. The selfie, part of a trove of new documents revealing how lawyers on both sides may be planning to argue their cases at his murder trial in August. Among them, this filing detailing Kohberger's Amazon purchases, which his attorneys have been fighting to get thrown out as evidence. According to prosecutors, Kohberger bought a K-bar knife and sheath just months before they say he killed Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Gonzalez in their off-campus home. According to police, a K-bar knife sheath was found next to one of the victims, with DNA they say was a statistical match with Kohberger.
What does a knife sheath at a scene mean? That's going to be the ultimate question.
The filings show Kohberger's attorneys are prepared to point to other possible suspects, writing, "This case is full of alternative perpetrators. The state has chosen to focus on Mr. Kohberger at its own peril." They also point to new cell phone data, which they say shows the morning of the murders, the 2 surviving roommates were awake, texting, and on Instagram earlier than previously known, and hours before they made a chilling, newly released 911 call.
911 location of emergency. Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
After the murders, police say one of the surviving roommates told them she saw a masked man with bushy eyebrows in the home. Prosecutors now revealing that after Kohberger's arrest, she told police, "I have no clue whether Kohberger was the same man she had seen." The defense has said Mr. Kohberger does not have bushy eyebrows, but prosecutors now including this new photograph in their latest filings, writing, "Whether or not Brian Kohberger can be described as having bushy eyebrows is a factual determination to be decided by the jury."
And Liz, has the defense given any more hints about what they're going to use as Kohberger's alibi here?
Well, yeah, Laura, as you know, up until now, his attorneys have said he was out driving alone at the time of the murders. Well, they're now asking the judge to allow witnesses to explain why that behavior could be linked to his autism diagnosis. They say that that diagnosis is why he has difficulty sleeping, which has led to his habit of driving at night. They are also saying Kohberger suffers from physical impairments and does not have the speed and coordination to commit the murders, get to and from his car, and change his clothes in the time frame that prosecutors have laid out. And remember, a judge has entered a not guilty plea on his behalf, Laura.
It'll be interesting to see what the judge does with that. Liz, thank you.
Hey, thanks. NBC News is the source. So let's go back to that selfie, infamous selfie that Mr. Kohberger took at 10:31 a.m. November 13th on a Sunday. Kids were unalived after 4 a.m. So we're talking about at least 6.5 hours later. That he took this selfie with a thumbs up. I've shown you photographs of his thumb blown up. And he looks, thumb looks kind of tainted with marks on them, cuts perhaps. So did he cut himself? What is he saying here in the selfie? Thumbs up. Thumbs up to what? Many of you who believe he's the killer, you believe he's possibly thumbs up. I did this, I did that. I killed those kids. I got away with it. I'm free. I'm free. And as for what was said at the end of this video about coordination and autism and can't sleep at night, sleep issues, give us a receipt that he has these alleged issues. Because I feel like this is just something Annie Taylor's throwing out to try to make it seem like this man didn't kill these kids. As for the DNA on the sheath, it is what it is. We know it's the state's job to prove that it's his. My thing is, you've yet to show us any type of connection to anybody else because we know that's not your job. It's the state's job. But you say you're going to bring forward alternative perpetrators. They're also arguing about that, the state and the defense. The state says basically they want them to bring in some type of, what did I write down here? They've got to just bring in some type of basically verification of other alternate participants that meets Idaho's evidentiary standards. Say somebody else, plural, committed the crime. Stargazing is trouble sleeping. Bring a receipt that he is trouble sleeping. Bring us a receipt that he's driven around at night. Well, most of us are going to think he was driving around at night because he was stalking these kids. Okay? He was stalking them. So what you consider sleep apnea, sleep issues, that's somebody who is sick and has a warped mind, and they're out prowling and peeping. Stay woke, everybody. We have this information of this selfie, thumbs up, blow the picture up. It looks like he's got cuts on his thumb, fingers, swollen knuckles perhaps. Thumb looks shorter than his other ones. I was listening to Duty Ron's live the other night, and one of the guests was talking about the thumb. The thumb looks shorter, or Duty Ron might have said that. I looked at it and I said, yeah, this does look kind of shorter than the knuckle itself, the hands itself, the fist. Amazon purchase. The state has brought forward information that March of that year, 2022, Kohberger purchased a knife, a sheath, and a sharpener. Sharpener and the knife have not been found. So you have to ask yourself, why would someone have bought a knife and then two of the things that go along with it, they're missing? The sheath found at the scene, but yet Annie Taylor says, well, it belongs to somebody else. I don't know how my client's DNA got on it, but it don't belong to my client's sheath. Bringing up the fact that he's autistic. Is he autistic? You only bringing this up because you know he's facing a death penalty. I must admit, she's very strategic in her maneuvering in the court. Basically, she wants everything thrown out. She wants the charges thrown out altogether. So anything that the state brings forward, she has a problem. So she don't want the selfie in. She don't want the 911 call from the house entered in. She doesn't want the text between the ladies, this, that, and the other, of that night after 4 a.m. where, you know, Dylan and Bethany, they're calling each other and the other girls who we now know were dead. And he does not want any of that information entered in. But now you're saying, well, we've proven the girls were not asleep. And as I said before in my commentary, they couldn't have gotten no more than 1 to 3 hours of sleep. So if Dylan or Bethany told law enforcement that they slept for 8 hours, that is a lie, because we now know that's not true. As I had told you all before, 2 years ago, you cannot believe anything that's basically been said, data, things like that. Yeah, you can prove that. But all that other crazy stuff we were listening to about somebody passed out outside, all that, that's all a lie. And now there's no fear with this, these texts after 7:30. It looks bad. It looks really bad. Whether there's no proof that these girls are involved or not, it just looks bad to say that they were shocked, they were stunned, they were fearful, they were scared. You can't be scared if you're texting for almost 5 hours. Almost 5 hours of texting. So you didn't get 8 hours of sleep. You didn't get 6 hours of sleep. You didn't get 5 hours of sleep. You're scared, you're shocked, but you're texting all these different people. You and Bethany both of you are in the same room, as the defense said. You're in the same room texting other people, each other. That doesn't make any sense. So they do have a point there as far as the fear factor. Bushy eyebrows, that's another issue. Defense says he doesn't have bushy eyebrows. Well, I guess that's all about interpretation. So look closely to the picture. Do you consider these bushy eyebrows? Many will probably say yes, they are. They're very dark in nature, fuzzy looking. And we've seen people with thinner eyebrows, such as the Queen. My eyebrows don't look like that. So if you were to compare my eyebrows with BK's, you'd probably say yes, BK has bushy eyebrows. Wow, 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 wow. The time frame of the crime, less than 20 minutes or so. The defense feels like he couldn't have done it because of this coordination issue he has. As I said, are all these verifiable diagnoses or ailments of Mr. Kohberger? I feel like they're only being brought up because he's being accused of murder. So they're going to call in an expert to say that he could not have committed the crime in that time frame because of his coordination. Well, that's what was said about OJ. Remember, he had arthritis real bad, but many people believe that OJ did kill his ex-wife and her friend, Ronald Goldman, Nicole and Ronald Goldman. And we have seen this with people who have disability, they hurt themselves. The point is, when you have to do something, you can be in a lot of pain, but you have to do it because there's nobody there. But I get it. If you're claiming that you're sick or you can't move, your back hurts, you got this type of ailment, your disc slip, this or that. But the point is, if you wanted to move your bed, move a dresser, arthritis or not, pain or not, hurt knee or not, hurt back or not, you'll push that dresser, you'll move that bed the best you can. If it takes you 2 hours doing it, you'll do it. And you know, many of us have done it. In pain, hurting and all. Taking a breath, taking a break, sit down. Hell, I did it the other day. I'm in pain a lot, but I wanted my bed moved, so I had to do it the best I could. Couldn't find help. Do you understand what I'm saying? You do what you have to do. So this coordination issue, when was he diagnosed with this coordination issue, Miss Annie Taylor? Autism. When was he diagnosed with this autism? Well, basically, they feel like he's a high-functioning autistic person. The expert said, your own expert. So that wasn't going to deter him from killing anyone. Checkmate. He's cognitively aware of his faculties. He's highly intelligent and deemed smart, has a decent IQ, Annie Taylor, your expert says. So he knows right from wrong. Meaning, he knows not to go buy a damn knife, a knife sheath and a sharpener, sharpen the knife, and stalk some kids and go over to their house a total of 14 times, including the day of the murder. 2 times. Checkmate. What a debacle. What else I got? Just going through my notes, everybody. Bear with me. So we mentioned the Selfie, the Amazon purchase, researching after the crime has been committed. Now, Mr. Kohberger, you haven't done anything. You're a stargazer. You're autistic. You can't move. You can't run. You can't hop. But you're back online on the same Amazon account you share with your family, mind you. And you're looking up the same type of knife, this military-style knife. Why? 8 months later. Why would you be re-looking up the knife? Planning to buy another one? Of course. Got to get that replacement. See, this man is not bright. As you heard his own expert say, he's smart, he's this, highly articulate, high-level functioning or autistic person, but he's also a fool and a dummy. Because where you messed up was going over to that house so many times and your phone pinging at the house, seen at the house, circling around the house, day of, morning of. You stupidly took your phone. You stupidly left the sheath with your DNA on it. I think they rightfully got the DNA through the ancestry search. I don't think it's illegal to go in a search. Can't be illegal because people are willingly putting their DNA in there. So how's it illegal? It's only illegal if somebody took something belonging to him and tried to put it into the database. But naturally, you have to probably show ID to do that. Your own ID to verify who you are. It's absolutely crazy to me, this whole case. But he's not smart. Because you get rid of the knife, the sharpener, don't know where he hit him, Probably hit him where he can go back. So where did you dispose of the sharpener and the knife, Mr. Kohberger? The fact that you went back in looking at the same items after the murder says a lot, and that's very incriminating, because Annie can throw out all these little tactics that she wants to say, he didn't do it, there's other perpetrators, blah, blah, blah. How are you going to explain your client going back in and look at a knife that he purchased 8 months beforehand? So now you got to show us what he did with the knife and the sharpener. Oh, and the sheath too, because the sheath's not his. Sheath's not his. Alternate perpetrators. So who are you going to point the finger at, Annie Taylor? Who are your alternate perpetrators? Help us out. The girls in the house, other Idaho students, the neighbors, ex-boyfriends, what? Somebody from Washington State? Slippery slope, Miss Lady, slippery slope. Oh, somebody related to Kohberger, perhaps? Same DNA? Or some, DNA family? What are you going to tell us? The daddy did it? What? Who are these alternate perpetrators? I'm curious. This lady is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Hearsay of the calls. Don't want the 911 call in it. Hearsay. I don't think it's hearsay. Whether you believe it or not is one thing. What the girls were saying on the 911 call, and Hunter. Text message, the same thing. Everything's about interpretation, what you believe. Do you all believe the selfie, this selfie here, his Amazon purchase of the knife, sheath, and sharpener, going back in to look at these items after the murders of the children, the text after 4 a.m. between Bethany, Dylan, and the dead girls, their text after 7:30 a.m., and he doesn't want any of that admitted. That's a lot. She don't want the selfie. She doesn't want the 911 call admitted. She don't want his searches admitted. Proof that he bought a knife, sharpener, and sheath admitted. She don't want the text of the girls after 7:30 admitted, nor the text of them going back and forth after 4 a.m. And she also feels as though they have alternate perpetrators. So she's going to have to bring some type of validity to the court within the guidelines, Idaho evidentiary guidelines, to show she has alternate perpetrators. This is where this is going to be very interesting to see who she's going to outline as the perpetrators. So Annie, what are you trying to say? There was more than one killer? Because you're bringing up speed. He couldn't have done it because of some type of issue, medical issue he has, mobility issue. Yet he walks in the court, he looks fine. Doesn't look like he's hobbling. Looks fine to us. We hadn't heard that he had any mobility issues since this case started. Now all of a sudden, and he's fishing from one end of the pond to the other with stargazing. He's got some mobility issues. He's got autism, sleep apnea. Did he ever complain to people about any of these issues beforehand? I can't move. I can't walk. I can't write. I can't see. I need a cane. I need a walker. I can't walk up steps, down steps. I can't sit. I can't sleep. I stargaze at night because I can't sleep. Annie, please stop it. Just stop it. You are just pulling up anything you can to try to get this man off. And I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Frankly, you should have brought all these things up immediately when you began representing him and sending him to get mental evaluations tests, physical tests. All that should have been done as soon as you became his counselor. Now, 2 years later, 2+ years later, you're bringing up all this old crazy nonsense of stuff that's wrong with him. Well, your own expert said he's highly functioning for an autistic individual, meaning he knows right from wrong. He knows right from wrong. Annie, what will the judge decide? I believe only partial of that 911 call is going to come in. So I'm trying to figure out how you're going to have a partial representation of the 911 call. It's only 4 minutes and 26 seconds long or so. So help me understand. What is it that you're going to partially allow of the 911 call? It's not even a long 911 call. One thing I'm going to say about the state, they introduced this 911 call to give a timeline of when the girls and Mr. Chapin were unalived. Because Dylan and Bethany are texting these people and they're not answering. So that's to give the state a timeline, show the court, the jury, hey, these girls are trying to reach these people and they're not responding. She sees a guy in a ski mask, blah, blah, blah. But where it's messed up on the state's part is that it shows no urgency to call for help. And that's what the defense is saying as well. They never called. Hours later, they call. Then you got phone shuffling of people passing the phone around like hot potato. Then they're up at 7:30 in the morning calling Peter, Paul, Jack, Mary, Sue, which don't look like one, you're drunk, you're tired, you're sluggish, you're disoriented, you're scared, you're fearful. And I would agree. And that's the part of the story that's baffling, besides the murders themselves. I mean, it's hard to believe these people are in this house waiting hours to call. People in the street thinking they were so distraught, sleeping, scared. And they're up at 7:30 a.m. texting on Snapchat, Yik Yak, whatever the hell that is. That just don't sound like somebody scared. And then the sick part is both of these girls were in the same room with each other. So they're both on their phones, yapping with people, talking. So that means they both are hearing each other's conversations. Stay woke. The plot thickens. So as I said before in my commentary, what do the family know? That'll be my next live. What do the family know? The people who they were texting and talking to, what do they know about the morning of November 13th? What did the girls tell these entities? What were the responses from the people they were talking to? This is a deep story. And as I said before, anybody that wants to glaze over the 911 call, you have to be an utter fool, because it is a part of the story, whether you like it or not. As I said, I do believe BK is the sole proprietor. Until somebody can bring a receipt that he had help or others aided, bring a receipt. But I do believe these girls were not mindful of their own safety or the safety of their friends. That's been proven. And to say that somebody feared for their safety, as I always tell you, role play it out. We've role played on this network. And even when I go back and listen to my live streams, I'm baffled at the stuff that's coming out of my mouth. Not to be funny, I am laughing at my own words because I'm like, this shit is crazy to me. This shit is crazy to me. And I always tell people, whenever you have to role play, that lets you know how sick the world is. And I'm going to tell you how I know people don't give a fuck about their friends. And this is a true story, and it's the latest news right now. There's an update in the Riley Strain case. As many of you know, I covered that case here on the Vault XL. He drowned in a river in Nashville, Tennessee on a fraternity trip that they take every year. It was a ball they were going to. They went downtown, got toasted. He got away from the group because he was escorted out of the bar for whatever reason. He somehow ended up in the river. Don't know how. was deemed accidental, no foul play. A lot of he said, she said, gossip about a homeless man in a shirt and just crazy stuff. But anywho, his family decided to sue the fraternity chapter and the members who were on the trip. So take the polls on my community page and weigh in. Let me know. Do you think they should be suing the school, the fraternity chapter, and the members on the trip? Well, what I think about that, when I saw the news today, it took me back to this case here because they're eerily similar. You got kids in the house that are dead, commotion going on, everything's on the version of Dylan, what she heard, didn't hear, which I find very interesting considering there is one person on the bottom, Bethany, and you really never hear what she heard. But I'm going to tie that all in too before I check out of here. Matter of fact, I'm going to say it now because I'll forget. Bethany heard something too. Uh-oh. Isn't that right, Bethany? Because when we go back and look at your text, you texted first. Ah, that damn queen. You texted first. Now, why would you be texting first when Dylan's the one that has seen the guy with the bushy eyebrows and all black and a ski mask? Shut your mouth. We'll say that for later. All these people in the house dead, 2 women in the house, waiting 8 hours to call for help, texting different people, both sleeping in the same room, listening to both conversations to different people. We now have to ask, what did those people know, and why didn't any of them call 911? That's going to be the next slide. Why didn't anybody else call? Because now we have to ask ourselves, if somebody's up at 7:30 texting, they're supposed to be so fearful, scared, you have to assume that what they're texting these people and calling them is pertaining to what allegedly happened in the house that they don't know nothing about. Okay? Now, Riley Strang, he's booted out of a bar. He's wandering around downtown Nashville, inebriated, and then somehow falls into the river. His friends didn't go try to find him. Obviously didn't keep calling the phone to try to find him. But what's weird in that case is they followed him on Snapchat under the bridge. And you didn't think to say, hey, come on, let's go get an Uber or get a taxi or something and go up under this bridge and see if we can find him. And they did the same damn thing. They wait all these long ass hours to report their friend missing. Well, if Riley didn't have any other friends in Nashville, he didn't know a girl there, a lady there, a guy there, where did you think that he was? It's the same type of scenario. Hello, Gigi. The only difference, one incident's in a home, the other incident, the guys are out about in the city. But it's the same type of negligence. You have to know something wasn't right. You saw this guy get escorted out of the bar. You didn't care. You didn't even think to go with him. Because what have I heard from a lot of men under the videos? If one of us go, we all go. There's no kicking one of us out. And that's a noble thing to say. One goes down, we all go down. Exactly. One fight, we all fight. There's no letting one person get beat up, thrown out of club. You know, that's that gangster mentality. But is it really gangster? Is it just what it's supposed to be, loyalty? Many people don't have loyalty. And I see it all the time in dealing with people. People who you think got your back, they don't have your back. That when some shit go down, pop off, they ain't got your back. That's why I keep telling people, you need to be very careful of the company you keep. You need to know the signs that you are not in good company with people. And you can have this problem at 50, 60, 40, 20, 10, 12. It's all the same. The game is the same. People are not loyal. You've seen it so many times. People say, oh, I got in an argument and they beat me up. Nobody helped. And I always say, well, you know what? Hey, got to know your friends. Did you deserve to get your ass whooped? Should these people get in and get beat up, cut up because of you? See, it's all about interpretation. But in the Riley Strain case, they did him dirty. They did him dirty. And it's a double-edged sword. Some people are going to say, well, hey, he got drunk. He's a grown-up. He didn't have to go in there and get toasted and get kicked out. True. That's true. Because we don't really know what was said in there for him to get thrown out. Because, as I said before, I refuse to believe he's the only one in the bar drunk and still drinking, still ordering. And we do have bartenders who still will serve alcohol to people that they see that are visibly drunk, slurred, leaning, falling, still will serve him. So he must have been really bad. And as you see in that video, that infamous video of him going down those stairs, you can see he was lit. He was lit. It was also said that he tried to go across the street to get another drink, but was barred, not allowed, in that bar. So that means he was tore up. We see him running, he falls. Don't know if he hit his head, bumped his head, but he took a nasty fall. He's a tall guy. And naturally, when you're tall, it hurts going down. So the similarities are the same to me. Different type of scenario, but the test of loyalty is the same. Nobody left the bar with Riley Strain to make sure he got to safety, okay? And he was a live person. The case in Idaho is different. The people are already dead while there's a commotion going on in the beginning. And what I was thinking about yesterday is the obvious. In order to get to the truth of things, you have to role play and you have to go back in time. And now going back in time, I'm seeing a lot more that was obvious, and it's way clearer. Dylan said there was music, dog barking, people singing, heard somebody say, somebody's here. Then that means you're in close proximity to hearing also somebody shuffling, getting beat up, pushed around, stabbed. Checkmate. You see, I'm woke. Okay. Yep, just like your mama. She's an 8 too. Fuck out my chat. If you can hear people singing, music playing, TV, dog barking, stay woke now. Hear a conversation, somebody saying, somebody's here. You had to have heard Kohberger up there murdering your friends because he's going from floor to floor, okay? I thought about that yesterday. I said, oh, that was mentioned. So when I think to that comment, like all the comments made by Dylan, because really she's the star of this picture show, everything is falling on what Dylan heard and saw. Do you understand what I'm saying? But when I looked at those text messages in the affidavit, and it shows who started texting first, it was Bethany. And that told me everything I need to know right there. Bethany, you heard something in Xana's room. That's why you started texting. Because you're under her room, bingo card. And I don't know if you were asleep, awake, on Snapchat, yik yak, talking to somebody, whatever the hell you were doing, I don't know. But I know you heard something because you're the start of the texting. Because I went back and I looked at the exchanges yesterday and I said, wait. She starts this off. Well, now, how about that? So there's just no way, ain't nobody in this house heard something. Each girl heard something because each one is on a floor and in between a floor where there's catastrophe happening. And I live in an apartment building, and I know when the doors are open at the end of the hallway. I know when you're coming in. I know when you're leaving out because I can hear the doors opening and shutting. The exit doors, when people coming in, they're going out. I know when you're coming in, going out. I know when you're walking by with a dog. Stay woke, everybody. No different than somebody upstairs walking, moving, using the bathroom, peeing in the fucking toilet. I can hear that too. If you all see where I'm going with this. Older places sink ships. The sound is not soundproof as they want to make it out to be. I live in a building that's supposed to have concrete walls for fire. So why am I hearing all this fucking noise? So that's my point. If you're living in an apartment building and you know when people are going to the fucking bathroom, one floor up, you can hear when people are going in and out of exit doors. When people going in and out the apartment, hear somebody arguing all the way down the hall. You see where I'm going with this. Then why are you in this house and you don't hear anything that would alert you to say, oh shit, it's something going down up in here. So now we have these people in court, the state and the defense, arguing over a selfie, the 911 call, the text after 4 a.m., texting after 7:30 a.m., purchases of a knife sharpener, sheath, researching those items on Amazon after the murders by Mr. Kohberger, alternate perpetrators. It's a hot butter mess. What will the judge decide? I think the judge will allow the texting after 4 a.m., after 7:30 a.m., also the 911 call. I can't see altering the call. It won't make no sense if you alter it. Only play a portion of it. It's only 4 minutes long. It's not even a 5-minute audio. So how are you gonna only play partial? Because as many of you know who have listened to the audio, it's all over the place. So if you play partial audio, those people on the jury aren't gonna understand what the hell's going on. They ain't gonna understand it when they listen to all of it, quite frankly. They're gonna have to keep listening. And you can best believe if all of it's allowed, you're gonna probably have all 12 saying, can you replay that, please? Can you replay that, please? Because you know what they're going to want to do? They're going to hear all the people talking, and they're going to try to decipher all the voices, and they're going to start putting two together like Queen did. Well, why is she on here? Why is she on here? Why this one don't talk? Why this one don't want to go back in the house? And as I told you all too, the more you sit and replay that morning, they knew those kids were dead. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to check out of here. It came to me the other day. Like a ton of bricks. When you die, you become stiff. Rigor mortis sets in. So when the first person went in the room, whomever that is, because I'm not even getting ready to say which one went. I'm done with that hopscotch game. Whomever went in the room first on the second floor, they knew they were dead. 1, by the smell. 2, if you touched them, they were cold to the touch and they were hard. Bingo card. So we can stop playing these games about this 911 call. So Hunter telling them to get out at the end of the audio, it's like a joke. Because it's really contradictory to the 911 call itself. The call itself is to tell us something's not right in the house, right? Somebody passed out. That's the initial start of the call. Someone's passed out. So if someone's passed out, you had to have touched them, shook them to realize they didn't get up. I mean, right now, if I go past a room or to a room, I see you lying on the floor. I see somebody else lying on the floor. First thing I'm going to think, okay, why are they on the floor if they got a bed, right? If I see blood, I should see that first. Oh, shit, this don't look good. These two are injured. So what I'm going to do, whether I touch them or not, decide to touch them, I'm just going to assume the worst, and I'm going to dial 911. That's where this is a problem for me. No urgency to call 911 at the time of first seeing them. And that's where this is also a problem. We don't really know when someone, the girls or whomever they called over, actually realized that the people on the second floor are deceased. And the one thing I said to myself, if I'm going to believe that these girls saw Xana and Ethan dead sometime after 4 and just didn't tell anybody, why wouldn't I believe you didn't know that the 2 girls on the top floor were not dead? I'm assuming you knew they were dead too. You see, everything is on Dylan's word. And right now, to me, she's not a reliable person to bring commentary because of her actions afterwards, her and Bethany's actions afterward. So I can't believe half of the shit you done said. And then when you go back and listen to the bushy eyebrow commentary from Banfield, and I was watching it the other night and I almost started throwing up because they were reading back the affidavit paperwork, and that, oh my God, that eyebrow comment came up so much, and it looked like this and it looked like this, and I can't tell this, and I think it's this. Oh my God, my head was spinning. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to hear this. I don't even want to hear this in court. I don't even want to hear this in court. How many times she said bushy eyebrows? It was ridiculous. I guess because they're asking her questions, the interrogators. This case is bizarre to me. Hello, Juanita. This case is very bizarre. And it's always going to be bizarre and strange when you don't know everything. So I get that. But you can't deny the 911 call as being suspect. And then now these texts after 7:30 a.m., it shows there is no fear. To me, I'll say to me. Fearful people aren't calling all these people. Because the one thing, once again, that don't make sense, you're going by Dylan's version. They act like Bethany don't even have a mouth, which I find strange because she's under Xana. Blood's running down the wall out of Xana's wall and window, but yet you don't hear any, hey, tell us what Bethany said in interrogation. She's under Xana's room, for God's sake. And she didn't hear nothing? Oh, I know she heard something because she started the texting. Go back and look at the texting. You'll see her initials. So she heard something. She definitely heard something. And she lied still in her bed or sat up, did whatever, but she didn't rush out that room and come up them stairs to see what the hell was going on. And that's why I said this is a weird tale of people conspiring to do nothing. Riley Strange, same thing. Your friend gets booted out. You don't follow him out. You don't go out with him to make sure he's safe. Why would you let your drunk friend roam around the streets of Nashville in the shape that he was in? And you have to feel some type of way because the boy turned up dead weeks later. Come on now. Part 2, Idaho. You're in a house with a bunch of commotion. You all heard something and you never went up to inquire, to our knowledge. You never called 911. Instead, you're calling all these different people hours later, which shows you didn't have any fear because you're calling all these people. And the fact that these people didn't have the fucking sense to say, hey, you need to call 911. This don't sound right. And you're still in that house. So this shows you how ignorant people are. That we've gone from 2 in a house, then they're texting random people, and those random people don't even say, get out of there. You're still there, why? Did you go check on your friends? So that's what I want to hear. What did those people say to Dylan and Bethany? Hey, when you going to go check on your friends? They're not answering. Hours later, 10-something, you're texting those same kids. Maddie, Kaylee. You still don't say to yourself, let me get up and go look. They had to have gone and look because it wouldn't make any sense to stay in a house and be curious to why these people aren't responding. And then I believe they're calling them on Instagram, Snapchat. They're still not answering. The logical thing somebody's going to say is, well, damn, you've already walked. You already let a guy with a mask walk by. You didn't do nothing. You didn't call 911. You didn't walk the house. Okay, it's hours later. Now you're texting all these people. You're still fearful. You still don't think to go look. So these girls never once went and looked. They just went and called some people over and let them look. So if they called these people over and let them look, Now let's make it make sense. You call these people over to say, hey, I'm fearful, we want to come out the room, come over here and check it out for me. So let's say Hunter came over, this girl came over, and they went upstairs and went to Xana's room and found Xana. Some reason they refused to mention Ethan. You didn't see no blood, you didn't smell death, you didn't smell blood, and you didn't even touch the victim to say, she's not passed out, she's dead. This is bullshit to me. And I don't care what anyone says. There's no way you could have went up in that room, whomever, and assessed that it was just a person or persons passed out. Those kids were dead. They were not passed out. So whether you went up there at 10:24, 11 o'clock, 11:30, 11:50, 11:45, after 4:30 a.m., whichsoever, you knew they were dead. And the detective told the story. When I walked into the threshold, blood rose to my nose. So how are you in there with the dead people and you don't smell anything? That's your house. You live there, you pay bills there, you eat there, you sleep there, you bathe there. When you live in a house, you should always recognize strange smells. Just like when I go out this apartment and I come back in, I notice everything about the space. I can tell when there's a weird odor in the room. So it's either coming from me or it's coming from my outside source. And naturally, when you live in apartments, people cook, all that shit shifts through the walls. That's my point. Heat is on, it's winter. Heat is going to permeate death. So what am I supposed to believe? It's November and they didn't have the heat on? This is bizarre to me. That's going to be the next live. We're going to talk about the responsibility of the other people, who they were texting. And why didn't any of those people act sane to call 911 themselves? And did any of them tell these two, hey, you need to call 911. Hey, you need to go see what's going on in the house. Hey, you need to go to these other kids' room and see what's going on. Hey, you need to go knock on their door. Because now we have to ask that question as well. Did they go at some point and check on these kids and realize they were dead and stayed in that house anyway? Number two, I don't even see number two. Why didn't somebody call? Because this just don't make no sense. And so as I said, when you look at the case of Riley Strain, his parents are now suing the fraternity chapter and the boys that were on that trip. This just shows you that people are not loyal and they don't give a fuck about you. And I thought that even with Riley, did they even like him? Was there a rift with these people? Did they get pissed off because he got barred out the bar? They were so enthralled to have a good time, they just said, fuck it, we ain't leaving. We like this bar, fuck him. That's on him, he got kicked out. You know, because we don't really know what was said in the bar. If they just put him out because he was just drunk, did he say something out the way? Did he use any vulgar type of, commentary? So I think of the Riley Strain case similar to this Idaho. People are hanging with each other, living with each other, but they're not really in tune to one another. Because if those guys really cared about Riley Strain, they were good friends, they loved him as a frat brother, as a human, he'd be alive today. Because you look out for your friends. You make sure they make it home. You call them an Uber, a taxi, a Lyft, something. You leave when they leave. You say, hey, well, we'll just go back to the hotel room, finish drinking, or put him to bed, whichsoever. That should have been the right thing to do, was to make sure he got home, even if you all didn't want to, cut your night short. Because it still was early. So I get it. You still want to hang, you want to drink. But you should have made sure your friend got home. That's friendship. That's love. Idaho, same thing. Dead or not, there was no care. There was no care for safety, for self. There was no care for safety for friends. Because if you can hear people talking amongst a person going floor to floor, banging people around with a damn knife, you heard way more than what you're alluding to. Because if music is blasting, was it worth getting up, opening the door 3 times, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? Slamming the door, hey, stop, leave that alone, put that down, go to bed, woo. And the gist of the story is that eventually it stopped, right? Or was the music still playing while the kids are already dead? Stay woke. What's music? See, that's something new I just started thinking about. Somebody the other day said something about the dog. Well, Queen, how long did the dog bark? Exactly. How long did the dog bark? How long was the music playing? Because if you are being murdered, I don't think you're going to tell the killer, hey, hold on, let me turn this radio down. Let me turn this Bluetooth down, turn this Bluetooth off. Well, now. See, there's always something you miss. That's why I said, do I believe this chick? What she's told authorities? Because wouldn't that be annoying to me? I'm already raising hell that people are making noise, singing, dogs barking, and now radio's playing. Now they're getting butchered in the meanwhile of me slamming doors. Then it gets quiet. Or was it really still quiet? Music was still playing, dogs barking. But I don't even get up to go check after seeing this guy with a mask on. I don't think they better call 911, something, right? These girls ain't answering, but the music's playing, the dog is barking. See, I didn't even think about none of that stuff. That's why I said you have to go back and replay it all in your head. So was it still of the night? Or music was playing, dog barking, dog stopped, but the music's still playing, but the girls ain't answering. But I don't get up and go check. And this is where this makes no sense to me. I'm going to live in a house with you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. But I don't say to myself, go knock on the door, go tip it, and see if you hear anything from the room. That shit don't make no sense to me. Hour in a house, and I don't even get up and go to the person's room to see why they're not answering my texts. You know that don't make no sense. And the reason why we know they didn't have any fear is because they got up and they're texting all these people, and Bethany's texting her mom and dad every 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Man, you know that shit ain't right. What are you calling your parents for that time of morning? What's so important you got to call your mom and daddy? Bethany. What was so important? Back to back, back to back, back to back, back to back. Mom and daddy calling you too. Back to back, back to back. Because you told them you heard something too. And I know you heard something because you're in the Xana's room. You heard something. So I don't think just Dylan heard something slamming doors. Bethany heard something too. Because she was calling her parents a whole lot from 7:30. But where people are confused, you didn't call for help. And allegedly you didn't go to these people's rooms to see that they were dead. And I don't know if I believe that. Because at some point, curiosity has to seep in to the brain. And you say, okay, we're not going to call the number anymore. We're not going to text anymore. We're going to go to the room. And this is the part where people would be even more disgusted if you did go to the rooms and saw your friends dead And then you went back to your room downstairs, to Bethany's room, and you all played possum and tried to figure out what you were going to tell and how you were going to call the 911 when you should have done that if you did find them after 4 a.m. That's the part of the story I think is worse besides the kid's death. Murders. If these girls laid in that house knowing that they were dead in those rooms and didn't seek out help. So then you have to ask yourself, as macabre as it sounds, why would you lay in a house with dead people? But then I have to think back to all the stories I've heard where people have unalive people and stuffed them in tubs, plastic bags, wrapped them tight in the attic, in the basement, and they knew that they were dead and didn't give a fuck. They put them in the backyard, buried. They didn't give a fuck. People who have mistreated their loved ones who are autistic, mentally disabled, and allowed them to rot in a living room with rats crawling around, such as the case in Louisiana. The girl was dead in there and she had literally melted into the couch. The cushions, foam was coming out of her own body. The woman in California who sat in the same room with her mother in the living room and the mother was dead on the couch. And she was steady getting Amazon packages and DoorDash and all type of shit. Packages piling up outside, which drew attention, which led to authorities going to the house and finding a dead woman lying on a sofa in a room. And one would say, what the hell was wrong with this lady to still be living in a house with her dead mother? Same thing with the case last year here in Knoxville. An elderly lady dies, black lady, and her nephew never calls authorities to tell him that his aunt is dead. Do you see where I'm going? So if these people can do it, why would I think these kids couldn't have gone upstairs and found out these people were dead and they decided, fuck it, we'll go back and we'll come up with a story later. It's fucked up. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below this video. Follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign the Ganji129 Cash App. I'll come back at a later time and we'll talk about the people who got the calls in the morning and ask, did they know that those kids were dead? What was told to them? And why didn't any of them tell them to call 911? And when they realized that they didn't or wouldn't call 911, why didn't they call 911? This case is so disgusting and baffling and trifling in so many ways, because now I believe too many people had knowledge of death in a home, deaths, and nobody cared to do the right thing. So it don't matter if the kids could be saved or not. I mean, it matters, of course, if they could, but to just act like it's no big deal, you don't even care about your own preservation of your own life versus your friends, that says a lot. That, hey, I ain't even worthy to be safe in my own house. I don't care that somebody just walked by me with a ski mask on. I don't care that I heard a disturbance and I know it didn't sound right, but I'm just gonna stick my head in the sand and say, fuck it. That says a lot about your character. And it says a lot that you don't care about yourself, because self is first. So what I ask all of you to do is role play it in your head. You pretended you were dealing Bethany in that house, and you did hear commotion, noise, stomping, banging, studs, and ask yourself, would you have stayed in that house and never called 911? That you could stick your head in the sand and just text, call, and live in the same house and don't even go check the people's rooms. And you come back here and holler at the Queen and say, yeah, I would have done the same thing. And then I'd say to you, you're fucking crazy. You need to go get your head checked. Because I've said it before. There's no way I'm going to wake up in this little box I'm in and see you walk by me with a ski mask on. You go out the door, you don't harm me, and I just go run to the door, lock it, and then go back to sleep. Ain't no way in hell. That's my commentary, everybody. Have a wonderful week, wonderful evening. I'll be back with more stimulating content. I'll have a movie for the week. And as I said, the next live will be pertaining to those who talked to these two girls the morning of the 13th. And what exactly do they know? Did they know that there were dead people in there? Because if they did, that means they're a party to it as well and not calling 911. And will they also have to testify in court to what they said and talked about on those calls, the parents, and whomever else spoke with Bethany and Dylan? Thank you for your time. You have been listening to the Vault XL.